Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome to the course Nutrition for the Family. This is the second module, that is dietary recommendations, and this is the second lecture in which we shall be studying about food groups. I am Dr. Jaspreet Kaur, presently working as Associate Professor in Government College for Girls, Ludhiana, Punjab, affiliated to Punjab University, Chandigarh. And this project is funded by DTH Swayam Prabha, MHRD, New Delhi. In the previous lecture, we had studied about the concept of nutrient requirement, and then we studied about the framework of nutrient requirements, that is, what are the dietary reference intakes. And then under this, we studied what is the meaning of EAR, that is estimated average requirement. Then we studied about recommended dietary allowance, that is RDA. Then we studied about adequate intake, that is AI, tolerable upper intake level, TUL, and along with that we studied the concept of lower reference nutrient intake, and we also studied that what are the applications of EAR and RDA. In this lecture, we shall be studying about what are the food groups, what is the importance of food groups, and lastly we will study about classification of food groups. To ensure good health, all of us need balanced diet, and we can balance our diet by including food from various sources. So let us explore what are the various food sources and how we can divide them in the food groups. Let us see what are food groups. A food group is a collection of foods that share similar nutritional properties or biological classifications. And the nutrition guide, it typically divides food into various food groups. And similarly, the recommended dietary allowance, it recommends the daily servings from each of the group to ensure that we are taking healthy diet. So that means the food groups are being used to make our healthy diet pattern. So what is the importance of food groups? We need food groups for various important reasons. So the first important task which food group will do is it can be used as a tool for nutritional assessment. By taking brief history of food intake, we call it dietary history, we can get a clue that whether this person is prone to certain kind of nutrient inadequacy. For example, if a person is not including any food from, say, milk and milk products, and that person is also not taking any green leafy vegetables, so this indicates that that person is prone to develop calcium deficiency. And it can be used as a tool for nutrition education also. Food groups actually they simplify the dietary recommendations, because in dietary recommendations we are focusing on the nutrients, but when we are taking the information regarding the food groups, they simplify the whole process, because here we are not talking about the nutrients, rather we are talking about the food, and which is easier for others to follow. Most of the people, they do not have access to food composition tables, neither they have knowledge or the time to look into the nutrient content of all the foods which they normally consume. So food groups, they classify the foods into certain categories depending upon their type, their nutrient contribution, their functions. And these food groups can be used to plan diets which will be healthy, and they will help in achieving the nutrient intakes according to the recommended dietary allowance. And people need to be guided about balancing the intake of different nutrients in their diet and make healthy food choices and eat a lot of food from different food groups. So to add variety to the diet, these food groups, they are really beneficial. Another important task the food groups perform is they are helpful in planning therapeutic diets. What are these therapeutic diets? They are the diets which are modified for the benefit of the sick person. And the therapeutic diets, they are scientifically based on the nutrient composition and groups which they can be used in the menu planning. And similarly, we need food groups in formulation of nutrient labels and surveillance system. These food groups, they can be helpful in ensuring that the food labels, they are correctly formulated and they are useful to the common people, and they actually help in the choice of right kind of food. Now let us see how we can classify different type of food into certain food groups. We can classify food into different type of food groups based on their functions or based on their content of major nutrient or based on their common characteristics. Here, we divide the foods into the category based on their functions which they perform inside our body. For example, the first category of food will be counted as energy yielding foods. And second category is the foods which will perform the body building function. And the third category of these foods which will be performing the protective function inside our body. Now let us see what are the different foods included in all these subgroups. So coming to the energy yielding foods, these are the foods which serve as fuel to our body. This class of food, they are rich in carbohydrates, they are rich in fats, and therefore they chiefly are consumed to get energy, and they are basically cereals or roots and tubers, or they are dry fruits, and along with that we get it from sugars or various type of fats. All of these, they are we are going to consume them majorly for meeting our energy requirements. The second type of foods which are performing the bodybuilding function inside our body includes egg, meat, fish. They are rich in proteins and they are included by the non-vegetarians in the diet. Whereas in vegetarians, they can get protein from other sources such as from pulses, from the oil seeds, nuts, and low-fat oilseed flours. They are actually rich in proteins, and they have some medium nutritive value also, and they contain second-class proteins, and therefore they if we are including our pulses or the nuts or oil seeds along with the cereals, we actually improve the quality of protein. So when we are consuming these type of food together, we get good quality protein. And this group also include milk and its products such as chaach, we have lassi, we have cottage cheese, that is paneer, cream, skimmed milk powder, khoa, that is chena. All these they have varied function and they provide proteins. The third type of function which the food can perform inside our body is known as protective function. As the name suggests, this group provides protection from diseases and it performs various regulatory functions inside our body. This food group include food from various types of food which are rich in protein, vitamins and minerals. So milk, egg, fish and liver, they will be a part of these protective foods because they will be providing us with high biological value of protein. And this food group will also include green leafy vegetables and some fruits because they will be providing us some vitamins and minerals. Food can be broadly classified into 11 groups based on their common characteristics. So these 11 groups are cereals and millets, pulses and legumes, nuts and oilseeds, vegetables, fruits, milk and milk products, eggs, meat, fish and animal foods, fats and oils, sugar and other carbohydrate foods, condiments and spices. Now let us explore all these 11 subtypes of food groups. The first food group is cereals and millets. Cereals and millets, they are a staple food and it includes rice, wheat, puffed cereals and certain millets. And in the low income group people, it may contribute to 70 to 80% of their diet because they are cheaper sources of energy. Cereals, they contain 6 to 12% of protein, and this protein is not the best quality of protein because it is lacking in one essential amino acid, that is lysine. But the protein contribution from cereals comprises to approximately 50% of the daily protein intake. The protein quality, it improves when we mix cereals with the pulses or the food items which contain protein of high biological value. And cereals, they are important sources of B vitamin, especially thiamine, niacin, pantothenic acid, and vitamin B6, that is pyridoxine. And they contain mineral, especially iron. They are deficient in vitamin A, vitamin D, B12, and vitamin C. There is an exception of yellow maize, which contains carotene, which is the precursor or of vitamin A, that is the provitamin A. Now let's talk about millets. Millets are high in nutrition and dietary fiber. They serve as good source of protein, micronutrients and phytochemicals. Millets, they contain 7 to 12% of protein, 2 to 5% of fat, 65 to 75% of carbohydrates, and 15 to 20% of dietary fiber. Just like cereal proteins, millet proteins are also poor sources of lysine. But we can improve the quality of protein if we mix the millets with some lysine-rich vegetables, which are leguminous vegetables, or with animal protein, and it will improve the quality of protein. They are also more nutritious as compared to the fine cereals because it contains more amount of fiber. Small millets, they are good source of phosphorus and iron also. They contribute to antioxidant activity with phytates. They contain polyphenols, they contain tannins, anthocyanins, phytosterols, and then pinacosanols. They are presently having a very important antioxidant role, and they have anti-aging function, and they prevent metabolic diseases also. Now let us see what are the nutritional benefits of the millets through this chart. This chart shows these are the different type of millets. As we can see from this table, they contain good amount of proteins and good amount of fiber. They contain good amount of minerals, and they are also good sources of iron. See the pearl millet, and then we have barnyard millet, and then fonio. They are very good sources of iron. Similarly, the finger millet, it is a very good source of calcium along with teff. And the government, it has renamed jawar, bajra, and ragi and similar other millets as nutri cereals instead of using the term coarse cereals. Let's move to next group, that is legumes and pulses. Pulses, they are part of legume family. Any plant that grows in pods, but this term refers to only the dry edible seed within that pod. For example, we have dry beans, we have dry peas, we have chickpeas or lentils, which will be included in this category. Whereas soybean, peanuts, fresh peas or fresh beans, they are all parts of legume family, and pulses, they are a part of legumes which grow in the pod. So pulses, they are special because they have distinct health benefits apart from other legumes. Unlike legumes like peanut and soy, the pulses, they are low in fat and they are very high in protein and fiber. No, pulses are rich in protein and they will supplement the cereals effectively. They contain 19 to 24% of proteins, and they are deficient in another type of essential amino acid. We call it methionine, which is a sulfur containing amino acid. But when we combine the cereal with the pulses, the protein quality improves because that completes the amino acid profile of protein, and the protein becomes grade 1 or complete protein. It also contains certain B vitamins such as thiamine, niacin, pantothenic acid, vitamin B6, and certain minerals. It is deficient in vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin B12 and C. But we can improve the quality of these pulses. We can improve the quality of vitamins by sprouting and fermenting these pulses. Next group is nuts and oil seeds. Nuts and oil seeds, they are having certain good nutritional benefits. They are rich in protein and fat, for example, soybean, and it contains 18 to 40% of proteins. And it is a very good source of vitamin B, vitamin E, and minerals like phosphorus and iron. Sesame seeds, they are rich in calcium, and it is used as milk substitute for infants over 6 months. It is deficient in vitamin A, vitamin D, B12 and C, just like cereals and pulses. Nuts and oil seeds, they are mostly produced for the extraction of oil. And the oilseed protein, if we compare it with other legumes, it is just like other legumes. It is deficient in methionine, but it is rich in lysine. Food group is vegetables. Vegetables can be broadly divided into three groups. The first group is green leafy vegetables. Second is roots and tubers. Third is other vegetables. Now let's study about these different type of vegetables. Let's talk about green leafy vegetables. They are rich sources of carotene, which is provitamin A. They are good sources of calcium, riboflavin, that is vitamin B2, folic acid, and vitamin C. For taking the optimum level of carotenes, folic acid, and vitamin C, it is recommended that an adult should take at least 100 gram of green leafy vegetables and a child should consume minimum 50 gram of green leafy vegetables daily. They are cheapest and easily available among all the protective foods, which we have seen in the previous food group. Second type of vegetables are roots and tubers. This includes sweet potato, tapioca, carrot, elephant yam, and colocasia. They are good sources of carbohydrates. They are poor sources of proteins. Carrots and yellow sweet potato, they are good sources of carotene. But here it is important to mention that you should not substitute cereals for these roots and tubers because they are poor sources of protein. Whereas we have seen that cereals, they do contain around 6 to 12% of protein. Now let us talk about other vegetables. The vegetables which do not come under the green leafy vegetables and roots and tubers, they are categorized as other vegetables. These vegetables like brinjal, ladyfinger, French beans, guar beans, various gourds, tomatoes, they are considered as other vegetables. They not only add to the variety in our diet, but they also provide vitamin C and some minerals. These vegetables, they are also a source of dietary fiber in the diet and they provide bulk to the diet. Category is fruits. Fruits, they are generally good sources of vitamin C. For example, guava and amla, they are particularly rich sources of vitamin C. And similarly, yellow fruits such as mango, papaya, they contain beta carotene, which is a precursor of vitamin A. Banana, it is a good source of carbohydrates and energy. Along with that, it contains good amount of potassium. Dry fruits, they are good source of iron, and fruits which contain pectin, they provide bulk to the diet and they help in regulating our bowel movement. Seasonal fruits, they should be included in the diet to supply vitamin C and beta carotene in our diets. And next category is milk and milk products. This group covers liquid milk, milk powder, fermented products like curd, buttermilk, chaach, lassi, etc. Milk is not only source of good quality proteins, but it also contains riboflavin and calcium besides other nutrients. If we talk about the nutrient value of cow's milk, 100 milliliter of cow milk contains 3.5 grams of proteins, 4.5 grams of fat, 120 milligram of calcium, 1.5 milligram of riboflavin, and 1500 international units of vitamin A, and it contains vitamin B and other minerals also. Buffalo milk, it has high fat content than the cow's milk. Milk, it is deficient in two nutrients, that is iron and vitamin C. Although milk from the different species, they have similar nutritional value, there are some differences in the composition between the human milk and the cow's milk. Human milk, it has less protein as compared to cow's milk. So this is about the milk and milk products. If we talk about full fat milk product, it contains 8 times more proteins. That means it contains approximately 26% of proteins and 26% of fat. And it is used in place of fresh milk at many places where it is not available. And then we have skimmed milk powder. It is prepared from the fat-free milk. It contains no fat and no vitamin A. It contains 35% proteins, which is 10 times richer than the skimmed milk. Next category is eggs. Hen's egg, they contain 13% of protein and 9% of fat. They are rich sources of vitamin A. They are good sources of vitamin D, but they do not contain vitamin C. The egg yolk contains 15% proteins, 27% fat. Along with that, it contains vitamin A. It is used as supplement to the diet of the infant. Category of food is meat, fish, and other animal foods. Let us see. These flesh foods like meat, poultry, and fish, they are rich in good quality protein as well as B vitamins. Flesh foods, they also contain B12, which is not found in the plant foods. Flesh foods, they are also good sources of vitamin A, which is found in abundance in liver. And if we talk about fish, it is rich in protein, it is rich in vitamin B, A, and vitamin D. Large fishes, they contain abundance of phosphorus. Small fishes, they are rich in calcium. They are very good sources of omega-3 fats. These are the fats which protect us from cardiovascular diseases. The next category is fats and oils. They contain essential fatty acids. The essential fatty acids are the fatty acids which our body cannot synthesize on its own. Therefore, it has to rely on the food items. So, they also contain vitamin A, vitamin E, butter, ghee, hydrogenated oils, and other vegetable oils, for example, groundnut oil, safflower oil, gentian oil, coconut oil. They are some visible fat examples which are consumed in India. And fats, they are considered as the concentrated sources of energy because they provide 9 kilocalories per gram of their consumption. The high fat intake, it can be harmful as it can lead to cardiovascular diseases. So we have to limit this food group. And some vegetable oils such as palm oil, they contain high concentration of beta carotene. Next food group is sugar and other carbohydrate food. They include cane sugar, jaggery, honey, syrup. They are primary sources of energy. Sugar and jaggery, they are used as sweetening agents. They are used in beverages. For example, if we are putting them in shakes or we are putting them in our shikanjavi. So they are the foods which increase the palatability and they supply energy also. Jaggery can contain some iron. Excessive consumption of refined sugar must be avoided because it may lead to health related problems. The last category is condiments and spices. They are not essential part of nutrition, but spices like turmeric, ginger, garlic, cumin, and cloves, they are used because they are good antioxidants. They are accessory foods which are used mainly for flavoring our food items or our food preparations, and they improve the palatability of our food. Most of these spices, they contain high level of tannin which can interfere with the iron absorption. And some of the condiments like chili and coriander, they may provide some beta carotene. Spices, they also contain some pharmacologically active substances such as choline, biogenic amines. They have some pharmacological functions. And garlic and asafoetida, they have antibacterial property and they will help in inhibiting the putrefying bacteria inside our body. Indian Council of Medical Research classifies food into 5 food groups. And these food groups, they can be placed into the various groups depending upon the content of major nutrients. So what are these five food groups? First group is cereal, grains and its products. Second is pulses and legumes. Third is milk and meat products. Fourth is fruits and vegetables. And fifth is fats and sugar. So what are the main nutrients which are supplied by each group? We take cereal, grains and products for energy and protein, pulses for energy and protein, milk and meat products for getting protein, fruits and vegetables for various vitamins, minerals and fiber, and we take fats and sugar for taking care of energy and needs of fats. And along with that, ICMR has also mentioned that other nutrients which are present in addition to the main nutrients. So, for example, for cereal grains, they are invisible sources of fats. They contain vitamin B1, B2, vitamins, folic acid, iron, and fiber. And similar are the nutrients which are provided by the pulses and legumes. If we talk about milk, along with protein, it is providing us fat, B2, calcium, B12, iron, fat soluble vitamins. And along with that, the fruits and vegetables, they are providing us number of vitamins and minerals, and fats and sugars. Fats, they are providing us essential fatty acid, whereas sugar is not providing any other nutrient present. According to the dietary guidelines for India by National Institute of Nutrition, foods are conventionally grouped as cereal, millets and pulses, vegetables and fruits, milk, milk products, egg, meat and fish, and oils, fats and nuts and oil seeds. So it has further simplified the food in this classification. So let us summarize what we have studied in this lecture. We had studied about what are food groups. Then we studied that what are the different uses of food groups. We studied about the classification of food groups, in which we studied that we can classify foods based on their functions, such as energy giving, body building, and protective foods. Then we studied that the second categorization could be based on their common characteristics, and we divided food into 11 food groups, where we studied about cereals and millets, pulses and legumes, nuts and oil seeds, vegetables, fruits, milk and milk products, eggs, meat, fish and other animal foods, fats and oils, sugars and other carbohydrate foods, condiments and spices. Lastly, we studied about the food groups which are based on the content of major nutrients. And under this category, we can divide foods into either 5 groups or into 4 groups. The 5 food groups given by Indian Council of Medical Research are cereal, grains and products. Second category is pulses and legumes. Third is milk and meat products. Fourth is fruits and vegetables, and fifth is fats and sugar. Whereas the National Institute of Nutrition in 2000, it has further simplified the food into 4 food groups. And here what they have done, they have combined the first 2 food groups. That means cereals, millets and pulses. Second group contains vegetables and fruits. Third is milk and milk products, egg, meat and fish. And fourth is oil, fats, nuts and oil seeds. So this finishes our lecture, that is food groups. We shall be studying further about the dietary recommendations and food guides in the coming lectures. Thank you very much.